Rolling.
Okay, so my blog's about mommies, and I want to ask you, what's it like to be, first of all, just a working mom and trying to balance it all?
It's an exercise in trial and error. Yeah. So I would say that I wish that I could speak with other folks who've done this successfully and have been really able to balance giving your children what they need at the time they need it in a very individualized way and still feel like you're going to work and not just getting a paycheck, right? Because it's hard to do everything well at the same time.
What do you think? What would you tell a new mom? What's the best thing about being a mom? I know it's like a loaded question, but what are some of the what's some of the insight you get from being a mom? What kind of insight would you give a mom?
1 second. I would say that you never realize how important this little person is going to become to you. I mean, I went through a lot of schooling and thought that I was going to do really, I'm not going to say important isn't the right word, but, in-depth, focused, intense work later on. And after my children were born, those things just seemed much less important. And so I would say that you never anticipate how important they're going to be to you until you have them and how different your life is going to be. So I didn't anticipate that, and it's been a wonderful part. I knew it would be special and wonderful, but how transforming it would be is something that was really unexpected for me.
Okay, and what's the worst part? I mean, for me, I know it's like, getting up to a screaming baby saying, "Mommy!" What's like some of the most challenging stuff?
Not knowing if I'm giving them what they need. I felt that way when I had one. It's even a bigger issue now that I have two and they have different needs. Trying to figure out how hard to push them and when I just need to nurture them and be their mom, I think is the hardest challenge for me. Because I want them to look back and know that I pushed them when they needed to be pushed and just love them when that's what they needed, and it's hard to figure out what's what.
And what's it like to have some, it takes a village to raise kids, that you have your aunt at home. What's that like?
I don't know that my children would have what they need without them. My mother works until 2:30 every day, and she comes over and she doesn't always get them, but she's always there. And when my children don't think that I understand something and that, Daddy and I try to have this unified front, so even if we don't always agree, we always present this front, they go to Thea, who, has been with us since my eldest has been 4 months old. He's now 7.5. And so they know that she's the support. When, my older son wants something or needs something or is trying to get away with something, he whispers to my sister, he whispers to my mom, and, he feels that love and that support. And that's really important for them, I think, to know that they have a network of folks who are going to understand and support them even when they don't feel they're getting that from us.
So the first thing is, what's it like you're mostly a stay-at-home mom like me, right? What's it like to, balance the stay-at-home mom and the little bit of work that you do? How do you do that?
Busy. Just very busy. Try to make sure that I don't forget anything. Appointments and where I have to be and where the kids go and all that stuff.
Was it, is it hard? Because sometimes when you're a stay-at-home mom, people don't really, appreciate the stuff that you do when you're not working outside.
Yeah. No, not at all. I don't think so.
That's good. And what do you do, what do you think the most challenging thing is about being a mom?
Making sure that all the kids feel equal. That they all feel like they get enough attention and I do enough with them. And as well for Ryan too.
Now you've got 3 kids.
Yes.
What kind of advice would you give a new mom to this journey of motherhood?
Just go with it. Don't plan too much because life has its own plans, and just be patient and thankful for what you have.
What's it like, what's like some of the, toughest stuff about being a mom? Okay, well, what are some of the greatest things about being a mom?
Obviously the kids. You know, to see them when they're really enjoying themselves, especially when I have 3, when they really play together nicely and they really help each other grow, rather than just always, you know, the parent helping the kids, but the kids actually help each other.
Is it hard we're coming up on the holidays, just, planning all the holiday get-togethers and the dinners out, which can sometimes be a nightmare with,
No, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoy them being home from school for the long time. I know a lot of people are, when is school starting again? But it's actually, I enjoy it, and I miss them when they go back to school. Yeah.
Okay,
you
great.
guys sit down or-
No, just stand is perfect. Okay.
Hello. My hair's blue.
No, it's all right. Balancing, work and then with the kids and everything. How do you, how do you make it all happen? How do you balance working and taking care of your babies?
Well, luckily I haven't had to work too much. I'm just sort of doing maybe 1 day a week. So it's not that bad, and also my parents have moved closer, which means everything, because we wouldn't have necessarily A, been able to afford a babysitter, or B, because Greg's schedule's so all over the place being a fireman, it's hard to know, like some days he can be there and some days he wouldn't be able to be there, so childcare would be all over the place if it weren't for my parents, so that's great. Yeah, so it's also good to get out of the house and talk to adults for once.
We talk a lot about like mommy isolation, because sometimes when you're doing taking care of the kids more full time than not,
Right.
It becomes a real thing,
Yeah, big time. Big time. You find yourself just talking, like you said, to children, and when Greg will come home from work, I'm just like talking to him nonstop. It's like, what's going on? And you feel completely isolated. Sometimes you don't have time to call people, and when you do, it's just like, if they don't have kids, it's just hard. But it's fun to get the gossip from the people who don't have kids, and just find out what their lives are still like and what you're missing, but also what you're really not missing, because you've transitioned into something completely different.
And what is it like to be like a mommy?
I mean, you just have no idea what it's like until you're in it. Same with the stages, when newborn is completely different than toddlerhood, which is going to be completely different, I'm sure, of, what they're going to be like when they get older. But every day it's an adventure just to see their faces, and when they go through things, good or bad, try to remember what it's like to just not know why you're so angry and just be angry. Which is what they do a lot, what they go through a lot. Just intense feelings all the time. But it's a real great adventure for us, because just playing with them and getting to see them use their imaginations and make, whole worlds to play in is amazing.
What would you tell a new mommy? What kind of advice do you give a new mommy? I always tell new mommies, enjoy that alone time until they come. But what do you say?
Yeah, and sleep. Enjoy your sleep, because that's gone. Yeah, alone time is great. It's hard to carve that out in a day. Luckily, mine will play together pretty well. So sometimes they'll play together, but when they're playing together, it's not like I'm having alone time. I'm like unloading the dishwasher, or trying to schedule what the next week is going to be like. So it's not like I can just check out and go to the movies or watch Netflix. But what else would I tell them? I guess that everything is a stage. Like, it seems like there's an intense moment where it's very difficult and you feel like it's going to be like that forever, but it isn't. And it just moves on. And enjoy every stage, because I miss them when they were really tiny and they didn't say, stop it or go away. But now that they have a mind of their own, it's an incredible journey that way too. So.